Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Achievement Unlocked. I am your host, Katrina, and I am here with
Mark.
And let's jump right into the episode. The first segment is our news segment, which is led by Mark. So, Mark, give us the tea.
All right. Well, lately I actually came across with Crunchyroll, that we were talking about Crunchyroll just a second ago, is actually settling a class actions lawsuit. Apparently they were being accused of sharing user information, and they denied it, but they figured out they're just going to settle it, not waste any more time, and just get it over with. So that's going on. Sony announced today that they are releasing a smaller, lighter PS5 coming out next month.
Ooh, all the PS5 players out there perking up.
Right. The only downside to it, in my opinion, would be the digital version, which doesn't have a disc drive, is getting a $50 price hike, which kind of sucks. But if you want to get a disc drive for it, you can spend another $80 on top of that, which I think you're just better off getting the physical drive one. Other than that, Fortnite came out with their Fortnitemares, which they announced Jack Skellington is coming to play, and Michael Myers.
Interesting.
I'm not a big Fortnite, but I like Fortnite every now and then.
Yeah, I don't really play Fortnite, so
it's okay. It's a fun. I think of it as like the kid version of like a FPS first person shooter kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't play a whole lot of first person shooter. In fact, I don't really play any first person shooter games.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I suck.
It definitely is something to get used to, or take some time to get used to. That is for sure. I will say though, in this, I am excited. Zero is going to be. It looks like he might be like a pet character.
Oh, cool!
Which in Fortnite,
everybody loves Zero.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I love Zero. Zero is one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Yeah, cute ghost doggo.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There wasn't really that much other news other than that.
Awesome. Thank you. And from now on, we are going to try and integrate this news segment as a permanent feature in the podcast. So look forward to doing more news. And we'll go to our first topic. So something that me and Mark attended was Pueblo Comic-Con.
That was actually a lot of fun.
Yes, I had a whole lot of fun there. It was I guess you could say it was my first con. I've gone to a smaller con that was held by the local library district, but other than that, that was my first con.
Really? That was your very, very first one, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Glad that you were able to experience that. Hopefully soon you get to go to the bigger ones too. That if you think that one was fun, you have to see the bigger cons.
I think we might be able to do that. Hopefully.
We're gonna have to bug our director and be like, hey, Colorado Springs Comic Con or even Denver Comic Con,
Yeah.
I mean, they're both in this summer, but still, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, if we can get the funds for it, that would be so much fun. So, question that I came up with is, what are your experiences with cons in general?
I've been to a total of 3 Comic-Cons in my life. This recent one was my third one. First 2 was Denver Comic-Con back in 2015 and 2016. It's very hectic, a lot of people, but a lot to see.
I bet.
It is. I mean, just the line to get in, like you have to get there early because like it wraps around the whole building. It all depends, I guess, on where you're at. But either way, I think the result's the same, depending on how hype it is or how popular it is. But still, there's still a lot of nice people there. There's a lot of cool cosplayers, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
Exhibits, like it's just really, it's like being in a candy store for a kid.
Yes.
That's the best way I could put it together. It's just so many cool things going on at once.
Yeah, at Pueblo Comic-Con, I admit I got sucked into some of the booths. Like, they were so cute. They had such cute stuff, like all these different anime outfits and all of these different, like, I ended up buying a Pokemon hat that looks like a shiny Sylveon.
Yeah, you showed me, and I thought that was pretty cool. I saw them, and I was like, oh, I did not know they even had shiny ones. That's
yeah.
Cool. They put detail in that, and they actually added that. That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's really fluffy, too, like big.
It'll keep your head warm during the winter here pretty soon.
Yeah. So what are things that you think are important to remember for cons?
Probably to have at least a little. If you plan on spending money, make sure to save up for it. Plan ahead. For this one in particular, it wasn't that bad because we live here, so you didn't have to plan to stay like in a hotel or anything or to drive, which was kind of nice. When it comes to other ones that are out of town, it's always good to plan ahead, save ahead. One thing to look forward to is to always look at what's going to happen on that day you're going or on the days you're going. Make a schedule. Like, oh, okay, well, this is happening at this time. This is happening this time. Let's go to this. It's kind of like going to an amusement park. You want to go to what you want to go to first, and then you can go to the rest, everything else later. There's going to be a lot of people lining up. Like, for example, I got to see Stan Lee at Denver Comic Con. He did a panel there. A lot of videos that still circulate nowadays about some of his conversations were based on that panel that he did at Denver, which was really cool. And I'm like, I was there.
That must have been so cool.
It was really cool just to see him talk about Spider-Man, what he did that, or why he did X-Men, or he did this, and the whole thing meaning behind him. So it was an iconic moment in history to see, especially a couple years later with him passing. So it was really great to see.
And I bet something like that happening, it's going to be like a core memory for you. Like, that was his final...
It was one of his finals.
One of his final things that he ended up doing. You'll never see him at another con ever again.
Yeah.
So I bet that stuff like that sticks with you.
I actually still have the video of it too, of what I recorded or what I had left from that panel, which was really cool. I mean, I wasn't up close or up front because, there are a lot of people obviously to it. But
yeah.
But I mean, hey, just being in the same room was still worth it, no matter what.
I bet. So, talking about panelists, what do you think that you would tell people if they want to attend like panels and stuff like that? Do you have any advice for people who want to go to a panel but they're not sure if what time they should plan on going, or how should they prepare for that?
Like I was saying earlier, it was just that trying to fit in everything you want to do. Sadly, you're not going to be able to do everything because a lot of the times a lot of panels are stacked on top of each other at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, like the Stan Lee thing I mentioned earlier, that was happening, but also there was another reunion of some show. I can't remember at the time. I think it was like Weird Science was a movie back in the 80s. And the whole cast was back. They had a whole panel together. That was right at the same time. They're always going to be stacked on top of each other. So you have to decide, do I want to go to this? Do I want to go to that? It's kind of like you have to flip a coin. I mean, it sucks.
You have to kind of decide which one is more important to you.
Or which one do you really want to see the most. And it's just, some people do go because they have questions. Or people want to see if, maybe they're going to talk about something that's going to happen in the future. Like a future show, like if they're going to see a panel, like voice actor panelists. Like, maybe they're going to mention something about this show that they're going to be in. Is it coming back or is it going to happen? Stuff like that. So you want to try to ask yourself those questions. Like, are they going to be talking about what I want to hear? And then go from there.
Yeah. I think that's some really good advice. So, what is your favorite parts of going to conventions?
Oh, there's so many.
Going in with the hard questions.
Yeah. I would say my number one would be the cosplayers, because some of them put so much effort, so much work into their costumes and they go into character, which is even better. So it's not like they're just dressing up for the occasion. They're actually playing a character at the same time.
Right.
Like at Denver Comic Con, like when I went, there was maybe about one or a couple of Deadpools, because I was like a little after Deadpool, the movie came out, the first one. And there was a couple of them, but they're all in character. They had different personas. Like one would be dressed up a certain way. Like one had like a rainbow billboard, I can't remember what it was, but he was in character. They had one that had like an arrow through his head. He was in character. Like just little goofy Deadpool characters, of course. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I like
think
the most.
The Deadpool characters are like so hilarious.
Oh, you have no idea. Especially when you meet those fans dressed up as them. Yeah. The
Deadpool characters that mix cosplays together.
Yes.
Like I watch channel on YouTube that has this Deadpool character who also also crosses over with Alice in Wonderland, and so they're Deadpool Alice.
I've seen that one. I've seen one that was Deadpool dressed as Sailor Moon. I've seen one Deadpool dressed as like Batman. You know, it's like just certain things like that. Like he's his own, like they're playing that person, dressed it up as another person.
Yeah, I think that's so funny. And it's so in character for him, too. He totally would do that. He would go into a convention as Deadpool and in a cosplay.
It's something to see for sure.
Yeah. I think that, in my opinion, for conventions, I don't know if you can say whether you agree or not. I think first time convention goers should try and go to a local convention rather than trying to go to some of the bigger conventions first, because if you try and go to the bigger conventions first, I think you're going to kind of have a little bit of like it's a 50-50 whether you'll get the experience you want or not.
No, I can see that. I think mainly why people go to the big ones is because of who's going there, like who's showing up.
Yeah, and I think if you really want to go to a big convention just for the characters who are showing there, go for it. But be aware that there are some, like, standing out in line for hours on end. Yep. You have to be prepared for stuff like that as well. Meanwhile, if you're going to the smaller conventions, you can have, like, there is a big chance that you'll meet someone who is, like, this incredible person, and they're at this small time convention. You didn't even need to go to any of the bigger conventions to see them. The Pueblo Comic-Con, we had Vic, the voice actor for Brawly.
Vic McNona.
Yeah. He's a big name voice actor, but he was at this local Comic-Con. And because he was at this local Comic-Con, we got to experience like interacting with him in a way that you would not have been able to interact with them at a larger con. Because I also talked with Bradley Pierce, is his name? Yeah. The actor who played the kid from Jumanji with Robin Williams. He said that he likes going to the smaller Comic-Cons because when he's at the bigger Comic-Cons, he doesn't get to interact with his fans in the same way that he can at these smaller ones. So he feels bad because when he's at these bigger Comic-Cons, he's just trying to get through.
Yeah, they're like rushed through it, kind of.
Yeah.
Get it over with, not get it over with, but they have a time frame. They don't get time to do talks or anything with.
Yeah, and I feel like that is a very good point. If you're okay with just having a brief interaction with whoever you want to see at a Comic-Con, then go ahead and go to the bigger Comic-Cons. But if you want to have a more personal interaction with someone, then go to the smaller cons, because then you're going to have not as many people to compete with. You're gonna be able to have a better, more interactive experience. And I think that it's just an overall good way to introduce you to what it's like at a con.
I agree with that. This was honestly my first time going to a small convention in general. And I will admit, looking at them again, the panelists, looking at it a second time, was like, yeah, you're right. There is quite a few here that are really had a lot of history. A lot of acknowledgement in the film industry or in the cartoon industry. One in particular, like you were saying, Bradley Pierce, who was also the voice of Flounder in the Little Mermaid TV series, voice of Chip from Beauty and the Beast. I didn't realize he was actually the voice of even Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
I did not know that from the TV series, I believe. So I think I agree with you what you were saying. Like, you don't have to go to a big con to see all these mainstream celebrities. You can even go just to a smaller one or a local one, just to see the same hiatus status or, celebrity status of those people.
Yeah.
And you might even get the chance to, like, I'll add to this, some people were able just to go up and talk to them. They didn't have to pay for a picture, they pay for an autograph. They were able just to go up and talk to them, where like, bigger ones, you can't do that.
Yeah.
They don't allow, you're in line either to, that you've already paid for a picture and an autograph, or either then some. That's it. You don't get to really talk to them. You don't get to really interact with them, which I understand. Sometimes with the bigger con, you got to be kind of more careful with the people that are around them.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. But I think that's what I've learned was kind of the cool things about smaller cons.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed being able to just talk with the people there, because I felt like it made these people who are like celebrities feel more human. They feel more human when you can just have a conversation with them.
And I think that also brings out their character, not the character they play, their actual personal character. It comes out because they're not being pressured to just answer questions, just to be there, answer questions, like a robot or whatever. They're in their
Yeah, they're not
in their
saying
zone.
these rehearsed lines or anything.
They're being themselves, which is,
yeah,
it's kind of refreshing would be the word for it.
Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned it earlier, but our next topic that we're going to cover is cosplay. So I am interested in hearing what kind of cosplays you've done in the past.
I've literally never done a cosplay unless it was like for Halloween. A good friend of mine who was a coworker, I no longer work there anymore, but she made me a Oogie Boogie costume out of burlap. And it's really cool. She did it in she kind of had to make it really fast because we kind of did it last minute. But she did so great with the head. Like the head, I still have to work on it myself. But basically it's literally I have pictures of it. I'll see if I can get them for you. I have to balance it on my head to keep it, because we didn't have time to put a stabilizer or anything to put, to keep it on my head while I'm walking. But it had the eyes, it had the mouth. The only thing we didn't get to work on either, like I said, this was last minute thing. I kind of want to work on the hands, because right now my hands are exposed, so I have human hands. So it looks weird coming from an Oogie Boogie cosplayer. So, and then also the feet. But the feet would be a little bit more difficult because, you don't want to walk on burlap because then you'll trip over yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had ideas to put LEDs around the eyes and mouth, or to make them glow in the dark, certain things here
You
and there.
could extend the burlap to just cover the top of your foot and have it as clasp it to your shoe.
I actually had an idea like that, or even we were going to put material to put on top of the shoe, the burlap, so that way it kind of just blended in with it, and then just keep the bottom, of course, normal. But that was probably the one and only time I'll actually dress up in heavy, because I even have I was gonna get the dice, because I found a pair of dice of Oogie Boogie dice and stuff like that.
That would have been so cool.
I mean, it's a work. I can still work on it. I mean, I've been wanting to do it for a while, and to I have it hung up and everything, because I try to take care of it, because she put so much work and effort into it. But other than that, that's pretty much the only thing I've ever done.
So, my past cosplays, I cosplayed as Cheshire Cat at Pueblo Comic Con. You got to see that.
Yeah.
I was the only Cheshire Cat there, which was kind of sad, because I wanted to see more Alice in Wonderland cosplayers, but I didn't really see any. So
my wife actually wanted your onesie. She's like, that is so cute. She was, I want one like that. And cause she, for some reason, I don't know if it's because of a Taylor Swift thing or not, but she's really big into Alice in Wonderland right now. I mean, she's loved Alice in Wonderland before, but recently she's been really into it. So when she saw you in the Cheshire, she's like, I want that onesie.
I can tell you what website I got it from later after the.
Sounds good.
But before that, I said how I went to a local con from the library that the library held. It was called IdeaCon.
Oh, okay.
And I went as Elle from Death Note.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Actually, I think you mentioned that the other day. I'm not sure, because we were talking about Death Note the other day, and I think you mentioned that. That you dressed up as was
the female version of Elle.
Or what is it? What do they call it? The gender swapped is what they call it now.
Yeah.
Gender swapped. Some of them are actually pretty cool.
I even did his whole pose thing where he had his thumb in his mouth and he was sitting with his legs up in a crouched position.
How did the hair thing go for you? Did that work out for you?
Yeah, I don't really need to do a whole lot with my hair for that. I just needed to do the makeup and, of course, the outfit. The outfit was really simple, actually.
It's just a white long sleeve shirt and pants, isn't it? like black pants or something like that.
Yeah, I wore something that looked like a t-shirt dress because I was the female version of Elle.
True.
So.
Okay. Didn't he have like a prop though? Didn't he like always eating something?
Oh yeah, I also have one where I have a sucker in my mouth. Candy.
I was like, I know he was always snacking on something.
He's obsessed with sweets.
Yeah, I was like, he always had something. I was like, I remember that. So I was like,
he's always snacking on sweets because it helps improve his ability to use his brain.
I gotta get back into that show because it's been so long since I watched this show.
Honestly, it was one of my favorite shows.
It's a good show.
Yeah. So, how about some of your favorite cosplays that you've seen?
Oh man, I would have to say some of them, like earlier, Deadpool, of course. I've come across quite an interesting one that's actually been famous at Denver Comic Con. A lot of people I've told I went to that con always ask me, hey, have you seen this person dressed as this? It is a raptor, like a velociraptor, but in Jesus clothes, if you get the pun, Raptor Jesus. So, and it's really cool. Like he actually just has the robes and he just has the velociraptor head. So it was kind of cool to see that. Like it's some of the people's imaginations get a little wild.
Yeah.
But I've seen one who was dressed as Poison Ivy. She looked really beautiful in that. I got to meet some actual professional cosplayers. Took pictures with some of them. One in particular, I think, was a 9-foot tall Transformer.
Oh man, I bet
cool.
that was so cool.
It was cool. It was bulky, and I even asked him. I was like, how does that work when you come through the door? He goes, you very, very carefully. Very, very carefully. And I'm like, because I was like, yeah, the door's like half your size, man. I was like, how do you get through that? But yeah, some of them, like,
I have to say, I have so much respect for people who hand make their costumes.
Yeah, agreed. Because there's so much money, so much
time, so much effort put into making just this one costume, and they usually end up making multiple costumes by hand.
And some of them it's not even like clothing material like the Optimus one was. A lot of it was he's made it all out of cardboard, and it didn't even look like it was cardboard the way he did it. I was like, that is insane. I was like, that's good detail.
I bet. Yeah.
Good detail. A lot of that there's so many to choose from. By the out there is a lot. I mean, name a couple more before I end it. It was like Back to the Future people. I've seen like someone dressed as like Marty McFly. Some people from a video game called Borderlands, Kingdom Hearts. One in particular I thought was really cool. I can't believe I forgot to mention her. Dressed up as the Goblin King from Labyrinth.
Oh.
And she had the so it was a gender swap version, of course, but it was the one where it was like that black kind of like leather looking suit with the white undershirt with the frilly top, and she even knew how to do the twirl the ball, the metal ball. And that was her thing. I was like, oh, that is so cool. So
man, that sounds
and
so
I met
cool.
her in the line while we're getting in, like she was in front of me and we talked, and it's like, she was really cool.
Yeah, I actually have seen quite a few like really cool cosplays that have been at just these local cons. Like for Pueblo Comic Con, I saw somebody who was dressed up as Edward Scissorhands. They literally taped scissors to their fingers. And it was so cool. It was like so much detail.
Good thing there was no metal detectors then. They wouldn't have been able to go in.
Yeah, good thing, huh? But also at that IdeaCon that they held at the library, I met these amazing Disney cosplayers. One person they were cosplaying Disney villains. And so one person was dressed up as Ursula, and they had this elaborate gown, elaborate makeup. They really looked like they could be a live action Ursula. And the other person was dressed up as Hades. And it was so cool. They had the suit and they had the hair and they had this chain where it had Hades's sidekicks on it.
Oh, Pain and Panic?
Yeah, they had Pain and Panic like draped across it was across their shoulders, so Pain was on one side and Panic was on the other, and they had it as like their accessory.
Yeah, I like that.
It was so cool. And And I also saw these cosplayers who were dressed up as Japanese myths. So one person was dressed up as a Karasu, which is a crow demon, and one person was dressed up as a kitsune. So, and it was like so elaborate. They had the mask, they had the like kimonos, they had the tails, the feathers, everything. It was just so elaborate and so amazing, and I was like, whoa.
It blows my mind when you go to small things like that and you realize like these people live here with us and you just never see them because, well, obviously the opportunity is only gonna be at a con or something like that. So it's really cool to see that creativeness come from a local town.
Yeah, cosplayers are just so creative. They're just so creative, and I think not a lot of people appreciate how much time and effort people put into these cosplays. Like, they are spending the entire year before the con planning out their cosplay and putting it together.
Or even years ahead. Like they're working on it constantly for years.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they can't wear it for one con, but they're like, well, I'm still gonna work on it, and that's like their goal is to like, well, this is my masterpiece or whatever, and I'm gonna work on it and add to it and keep adding to it.
Oh my gosh, I love just seeing what people decide to come up with.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up something that was really cool. You ever seen a movie called Scrooged with Bill Murray?
It sounds familiar. I might have watched it like once when I was like years ago.
So it pretty much was like the title says, is Ebenezer Scrooge style 90s, I want to say 90s modernized version. Instead of a rich random guy, it was just he was like a head of a TV channel like NBC or something. Anyway, Death in particular, the Grim Reaper, his character, he's like this tall figure, of course, in a black cloak, but underneath his head is all monitors, TVs. Like his head is a TV where it kind of like flickers in and out of like a skull, and then like certain things here and there. One person actually did do that at a con I've seen. I don't know. I wish I could have talked to them. They were in character, so they didn't talk. So I didn't get to ask questions, but they had that setup. The head up top had the TV monitor kind of thing, flickering the skull on and off or whatever. And then of course, under the robe was supposed to be like the greed and jealousy and all that stuff, that was from the original show. So yeah, like when it comes to stuff like that, was like electronics in particular is expensive when you think about it, and then it's like, how are they able to maneuver and stuff like that? So like in ways like that had to have taken more than a year, or if anything, at least a year to get it going. So it's one of those things, it's worth the wait, I guess, and that's one of the things I like about cons is, like I said earlier, the cosplayers make con worth it.
Yeah, it very much is I think Comic-Cons are all about like the community getting together as just a bunch of fans of all these different series and shows, and getting to show appreciation for these series and shows that you absolutely love and adore.
Definitely.
So our final question that we're going to cover today is, what kind of cosplays would you like to do/see in the future?
I would like to see, since I mentioned Transformers, I'm a big Back to the Future fan, so I grew up with that. I've seen many people dress up as the Back to the Future characters. One I haven't seen yet, it probably is existing out there somewhere, is a while back, about 10 years ago or so. Transformers and Back to the Future had a crossover where the DeLorean got zapped with some type of ray and turned into a Transformer, into an Autobot.
Oh, man.
And it could time travel as an Autobot. And I'm like, that is really cool. They had a toy for it and everything. It had a shirt. And I'm like, I missed out on it because they sold out in like 5 seconds. So I was like, that would be kind of cool to see as a cosplayer. Just seeing like the flux capacitor was on the chest, and he had like this type of ray gun kind of thing. Like, it's just really cool how the concept came out. That would be one of them. I think another one would be, I don't know, it's like there's so many different characters that I'm pretty sure people have already done. I just haven't seen them with my own eyes yet. So I think that would be my answer. It's just that DeLorean Transformer, until I change my mind later.
I think that I would like to see more Disney cosplayers. I think that there's just so much that you can possibly do, like with the Disney characters. I'd love to see more people like figure out their own spin on their favorite Disney character.
Now you mentioned it when we had Alex on the show last week. You were showing her that
Twisted
Wonderland. Since I know they're going to come out, they're supposed to be making it into a show. That would be something cool to see too.
Yeah, it would.
It would be interesting to see that type of cosplay.
Yeah, I'd love to see people try and cosplay as some of these Twisted Wonderland characters, especially the Beastmen or the Fae characters, because those are like so in depth.
I bet you they probably do have some cosplayers, but more at anime cons rather than Comic Cons, because it's more of an anime style, you know. So I could see it more there.
It's a fantasy game.
Yeah, but that's the one thing. Just because it's based in Japan, or the game was based in Japan, I could see it more as within the anime community than anything. That would be where it's portrayed more often.
And that brings me to my next cosplay that I like to see more of. I'd like to see more people cosplay as different myths and legends. So I'd like to see people cosplay as like wolf walkers or orstuff like that, like different legends, myths from all across the world. I'd love to see it.
Go back to like the origin, go back to like the origin Halloweens, basically when they based off of dressing up as monsters or folk legends or spirits. So yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
And just put their own spin on it. I mean, some of them, again, there's different cons out there. In particular, there's like I can't remember the name of it, but there is a horror con kind of thing where it's like based on horror movies, monsters, stuff like that. A lot of it very, very interesting, I guess would be the word of it. Like what you want to see, that's exactly where you would find them.
Yeah, really but cool. They're not always horror though. Like a lot of myths and legends are just tricksters. They're either tricksters or they represent something from nature. They're meant to explain some sort of natural phenomenon or something that people at that time did not have an answer for.
No, I get what you mean. And I think, even if they're not horror, I mean, still, the fact is that they're still part of that supernatural vibe. They're still, like, even though they're not evil, they're not this or that, I think it would be kind of cool to see those in general at any con, just to see what their interpretation of that, whatever it is to them.
Like kelpies or like centaurs. I'd love to see a centaur cosplay.
That would be interesting. That would like require two people, I would assume. Or unless you're dragging, the second half of your
or
costume
they
around.
have like something attached to their legs where it's like the setup so that it moves at the same time.
I know. Yeah, I've seen that before. That would good ideas.
Yeah, and for cosplays that I'd like to do in the future, I would really like to do more anime cosplays. I've done a lot of more fantasy cosplays, but I want to do more anime characters. So stuff like Elle, I'd love to try and do more up-to-date cosplay of Elle from Death Note. I'd love to do... I watched this series called Yona of the Dawn. I'd love to cosplay one of those characters.
I think if I were to pick, if we're going to talk about anime characters, I don't know if you've watched. I know we talked about it before because you were more into the classic animes. You weren't into as much the modern ones. Mm-hmm. In general, for me, I love My Hero Academia. One of my characters I actually really like, and I think he's kind of funny, but he's really cool too, his name is Fat Gum.
Oh, I
love Fat Gum. Yeah. I love the voice actor of him as well, who portrayed him.
He's an awesome character.
Yeah, like he's like one of the coolest guys there, really nicest heroes in the show, and I love his character. I love his power. I'm like, being a big guy myself, I'm like, who could I portray as? It's either him or Yajirobe from Dragon Ball Z. I was like, I don't want to be Yajirobe because then I have to wear a dress. Well, there's a term for it. I can't. It's like what samurais wear, but I can't remember what the name of it. It's not a dress, but either way. It's like I can't wear that. I need to wear something better than that. So Fat Gum was like the next up, in my opinion, for me.
Yeah, I'd say if I were to cosplay as any character from My Hero Academia, I'd love to cosplay as Aizawa.
That would be cool. I would like to see that. I would like to see a gender bent of Aizawa. I think that'd be cool. Especially with the eyes. If you can get that to work, that would be cool. I don't know. You'd probably have to do like a contact thing or something, probably.
Yeah.
Be the best option. Or not even have to worry about it at all. Just do his normal state. Either way, I think it'd be kind of cool. Or just even have the goggles for it. Just have to wear the goggles the entire time, or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Well, we need to wrap up, so we will look forward to our next episode with us. We are very close to getting a plan set up for our reaction series as well, so keep an eye out for when we get that started up. We will see you in the next episode. Bye.
See